there's obviously a cost of an action and having non-value driven kind of actions within your organization. So the inverse of that, I'm guessing, is what you've been saying here is treating data as an asset. And I think you sent me a visual here, so I'll pull that up.
Okay. Yeah, that's
But
one of those big conversations. And it's like, yeah, data is an asset. We have data and we have our reports over here, and it's, it's an asset. But what does it
yeah,
really mean? And let's really get
exactly.
in and it's present to what that means. So we created this as a guide, and this is just a sample of what it means. But we know where that data is introduced into our ecosystem. Why? Because we've brought all of our data ecosystem into a tool. We know the formulas that are used for metrics. We know how it is used on reports. We know who to direct our questions to because we've got owners and stewards of reports, owners and stewards of the data catalog, and owners and stewards over the business glossary terms. We protect its privacy. Can you check that box? We publish a complete definition. We manage and confirm the quality. We have standards for its transportation. We use it consistently between assets. And there are more boxes that could be added to this. So this really gets people to understand. But we have this data as an asset conversation. And when I bring things up like this, I ask, how many of these boxes can you check? How do you know that when data is coming into your organization and the wall of data is getting higher and wider with every day at an organization? It's really about meeting the data at the wall and identifying the definition, the handling standards, security, quality, and marking that as a critical data element for everyone else. Because a lot of the items that are at the wall are not necessarily critical to your organization.
With data as an asset here, and I think that it's pretty clear what you're saying of really treating it as an important, invaluable tool and asset to your company, right? I think that the concept is self-explanatory, but the benefits of it are so helpful to really drill into.
Right.
And from your perspective, how have you seen that we can make sure that all of these boxes get checked?
It's interesting because when we talk about data as an asset, it really helps people to understand, oh, it's not what I was thinking, because this is a lot different. So I was thinking it was just a catalog and definitions, and then where on the reports are the definitions. And actually a lot of data governance tools were built to solve that problem. But when you look at this, you start seeing, oh, it's a lot more than that. It means we're going to be interconnected. And yes, data as a product is on here as, number one, which is a very good goal. Thank you, Annie. So the next slide, where we talk about why code and metadata is at the center of your tooling. So when you talk about, I'm going to do a little plug for OvalEdge here. When you bring in your metadata, what is metadata? That's another one that I like to level set. Metadata is going out and collecting all of the objects in your data ecosystem. So when we ingest the metadata from your data ecosystem, it's telling me that you have these servers. These servers have these schemas. These schemas contain these tables, and these tables contain these fields. So now you can get a picture of your data ecosystem. When you bring in the code, so that's going to build your data catalog. When you bring in the code, that is going to build your lineage. So if you look at the center of that, the code and the ecosystem being present in your tool allows you to strategically build your business glossary. And that is the core of your data governance. Now that you have that, you are plugging in all of the other functionality. So you can check the data discovery box. You can check the privacy and compliance box. Your regulatory and compliance people, your data related policies are plugged in. Your self-service tools are well explained where users can get what they need. So you've got all of these components that are contributing to and drawing from that data ecosystem that sits at the center of the tool. So you can see that, I like to use these two slides because it really does bring a lot home, and hopefully it's resonating with anybody who's watching here today. Let me know if that resonated with you. And so when you talk about this, start from here, data as an asset, and where are we with data as an asset? And here are the ways that we interact together in data governance. Then bring in, here's what is currently happening. Can we afford not to eventually get to this place? I want to encourage some things that I've done, which is my BI team came up with a cost per report. And I challenged the BI team and said, hey, how much does it cost for a report that has one metric and 4 items on it? And they were like, what? I don't know. We had fun with it, made a game out of it, but we settled on about $9,800 per report is what it costs to build a report. There was a lot of things that were thrown in there. So you've got a developer, you've got a BI analyst, you're taking capacity just so you got staff. Now you've got a development environment to maintain. Then you send it to stage, you QA it, and then it goes to production. So that's expensive. It's not just 4 elements, and you have to find the 4 elements, and so that is expensive. So if we can reduce these costs for creating a report with data governance, what would that look like? And then and it's different for every ecosystem. So if you take small bits to show that value for where you can come up with a formula or can come up with a general, how many questions is your team fielding? How painful are your application upgrades? And how much would data governance impact that? You can really bring it to tell the story of data governance at your particular organization.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think this visual is really helpful for me. I know at OvalEdge we have so many of these tools that you're seeing on the outside, but explaining it in that everything starts at the metadata layer, right? When you're working with the tool to be able to help with that data governance and what's built from there. I think that just paints a picture, right? Because if you don't start with your data catalog and your business glossary, a lot of times you end up discovering data issues or dealing with cost of inaction at that consumption layer, right? And we're talking more at the inception layer, right?
Right. So we're talking about finding the source of the information, where it's coming in for the first time. And that's how you help plug in your data quality. So if I have a term, and it can be something as mundane as contract ID, what type of contract, we want to make sure our terms aren't too vague, but it's coming in on Salesforce. And we want everyone to know it's coming in over at Salesforce. It is not a contract ID that we assign ourselves. It is assigned to us. And by the way, the first 2 characters mean this. And now everybody knows in your organization who they can call and have a broader understanding of your contract IDs. Contract IDs are oftentimes sent over to 45 other fields in your data ecosystem through interoperability. Developers are oftentimes saying, well, where should I pull this from? Where's the best place to pull this from? Now we know where the best place is. Is it in the data warehouse? Yes or no? Can we add it to the data warehouse? Let's take a look at the importance rating. So your backlog, you're more strategic.
Yeah.
You're able to attach to those items what you need for regulatory reporting, so that if people are going to make changes, they know that we need to have a broad conversation and communicate across the whole organization on this, because it's going to impact our regulatory reporting, and you don't want to mess with that. So that's the kind of interconnectedness that good data governance provides an organization that's going to cut down on your non-value added activities.
Awesome. Yeah.